It's a great sort of renaissance period for cycling.
People just love their e-bikes. They're healthier and happier.
An e-bike allows you to go farther than you might normally.
They're definitely a very green way to get around town.
Welcome to Beyond Bosch. I'm Jessica Dahl.
Today we are talking about e-bikes. I am so excited about this topic. My bike is in the shop right now. I'm ready to start riding again. And I have two special guests here today from our e-bike division. And one is Laura Montero. Laura is a field technical specialist serving the southern Midwest region of the U.S. She's in Austin, Texas. Also joining us is Steven Sheffield. He's a family man, active mountain biker, involved in a local trail group. He coaches his older kids, and he has been with Bosch for 15 years. Both of you, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us, Jessica.
Yeah, thanks, Jessica. Excited to talk e-bikes.
Awesome. Laura, will you go first and just introduce yourself a little bit, maybe your experience at Bosch? What do you actually do besides your title?
Sure thing, yeah. I basically travel around Texas and surrounding states, talking to shops and training them, empowering them. My background is actually, I had a knee injury from another sport that I'm clumsy by nature, apparently. And so cycling, it was a great way to kind of keep my aerobic fitness going and strengthen my leg. And I started using it for commuting. I was maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I was commuting to work, and that was a nice mix-up from my normal routine. And I moved to Hawaii and didn't have a car. I lived on a big island, and it's a big island, like it's called. So there's a lot of ground to cover to get around by bike. But if you're riding your bike a lot, you're probably going to have issues with your bike. And so I became a regular at the local bike shop and became friends with them. And eventually they offered me a part-time job. So I sort of fell into it, really. And I've always been technically minded. My background is actually, I studied neuroscience, and I was in the bike shop talking to people, but I always wanted to learn how the bike worked, how to fix it, how to kind of address issues. I like that sort of dissecting logically problems and things. I moved again to Austin, found a job at a local bike shop here. I told them I specifically wanted to learn about mechanics and really hone that skill. After a handful of years doing that, Bosch got in contact with me and recruited me into this position. It's really been a whirlwind, but I really feel like I've found my place here. It's the perfect role. I get to sort of carry that joy and share that excitement about cycling that I've maintained all these years. So
that's awesome. That's a great story. And for you, Steven, can you give a little more intro on yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. So I'm responsible for product management in North America and also business development. And that's mostly looking at how to introduce e-bikes to new channels or to new user groups that haven't been using e-bikes before. That's been everything from first responders to resorts to fleets, for corporations, for delivery services, things like that. And I joined the e-bike team almost 5 years ago, after spending 10 years with the power tool division, where I started in Switzerland and then worked with power tools in Australia and China as well, and was looking to come back to the US, where I'm from originally, and came across the e-bike team, and it's been a great journey since then.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. So I know internally at Bosch, it's kind of a norm to, when you have a meeting or any interaction with the e-bike team, the other people that aren't on the team are always like, hey, how do I get on that team? I mean, there's just a general passion and, energy that comes from, I think, working on something that you're obviously passionate about. And I feel like I can already feel it from both of you, and even just how you describe yourselves. How do you feel about that? Are you enjoying that? Do you feel a real passion and fulfillment in what you're doing?
I for one do. My team within the e-bike division is also a number of really amazing folks that also came up through the bike shops. And so we really have that sort of grassroots interest and feeling and passion for cycling. And there's always this just happiness and great vibe with lunch rides and just nice feelings.
Yeah. What about you, Steven?
It's fantastic to be part of e-bike. People just love their e-bikes, and it really impacts their lives. They get out more. They're more engaged with their community. They're healthier and happier, and just it's really hard not to just be excited about this business and this industry overall.
Yeah, one thing that I really love about e-bikes is it offers that kind of opportunity and experience to people who are intimidated. Oh, I can't do a ride that far. I can't go that long with all you other people who ride all the time. It actually allows people to be together and enjoy the experience without having to do all the suffering.
But different levels, right? Everybody's at a different fitness level.
Exactly. And it's fun. It takes the hardest part and really simplifies the ride experience that initially attracted me to the sport itself.
Nice. What about you, Steven?
Yeah, I grew up in Utah, so a lot of mountain biking going on there, and now it's become an even bigger part of my life, especially with kids biking. And we have a bike that we can carry a couple kids on the back, an electric bike that we use to take the kids to school and to soccer games and to pick up groceries. And it's it's become a really big part of our lives, whether it's the sport side of it or just the getting around town in the community. The bikes have been great.
Oh, I love that. I'm just visualizing you with your family in tow. I just think that's so cool, and it's healthy, and I would rather be in the back of a bike if I was a kid than, like the back of a car. That sounds more exciting.
Yeah,
right?
it's fun. It's fun. They love it. And we're starting to see, a lot more people in the area picking up on it, and we have a long line of cars dropping kids off at the school. And so to see more people skipping that with the bike delivery is a cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And even speaking of that, I mean, with the sustainability aspect and the output of obviously an e-bike versus your typical vehicle, I mean, that's huge. That's huge. That's obviously a part of what you guys do and promote. And can you speak a little bit more about that?
So for a long time, I was actually a bike commuter. I didn't own a car. And then I bought a car out of convenience living in Texas. This kind of a car culture here. But since the pandemic, actually, I am never in the car. I'm able to do all of my errands in town, and it's just an opportunity to get outside and enjoy the environment. It's amazing. It gives me that outside time, that kind of headspace, and I'm not stuck behind another car worrying about when I'm going to get there and how pressed for time I am.
Right. Well, and even just reducing your own carbon footprint, right? I mean, that has to feel good.
I mean, for sure, it's great. It's a better lifestyle to be out on the bike. If you can spend less time in the car, that's a great thing for everybody. But e-bikes really have helped to knock down some of those barriers, whether it's worried about arriving to work sweaty or, being able to carry things or carry a kid with you as well, or just getting out when you really don't feel like suffering up that hill or whatever. And so it has opened it up to so many more people, and we're seeing a huge uptake and interest for people riding e-bikes for commuting. And I mean, e-bikes are an incredible sustainability solution. I mean, they cost 17 cents to charge an e-bike, and you're going to get 45 miles of riding out of that, and you're not taking up a full lane of the road in a congested city. That's an easy one. They're definitely a very green way to get around town. In Portland, Oregon, they did a study that showed if they could get people riding e-bikes just 15% of the time, that could take out 12% of all greenhouse gas emissions in the city. So we're talking major impact on the level of pollution in our cities.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge. This pandemic has kind of accelerated this type of lifestyle, seeing like the importance of a healthy lifestyle and wanting to be better and wanting to spend time outside and in nature. And people actually have the time finally to try something new, maybe,
Mm-hmm. hmm You mentioned that you've got a bike in for service right now, and you're lucky to have a spot. So, like service sales for bike shops, they're up 37% this year versus previous year, and bike sales overall are up 43% year to date versus previous year. This is all types of bicycles, and if you've been looking for a bike right now, it's hard. The whole supply chain is stressed with this increased demand. And the ridership figures match this; they're up. But what's really interesting is that the increase in riding is actually higher on the weekends than it is during the week. So we knew that bike commuting was going up, but it also just shows that people, once they have time too, they're going back to this sport of cycling. They're getting out with friends and family, or on these weekend rides too. So it isn't just a transportation solution. It's kind of like going back to when we used to ride bikes more everywhere. Now that things have maybe slowed down a little bit, people are getting excited to be on their bikes, which we love seeing.
Yeah, it's a great sort of renaissance period for cycling.
Yeah. And you kind of alluded to that earlier when you talked about kind of clearing your mind, being able to go for a ride, do some type of exercise, especially kind of leveling that playing field for people with different abilities, I think is such an important piece to this, because especially with the pandemic and the health, it's not just our physical, but our mental health, right, has taken a huge toll. And I think,
Absolutely.
people have needed those outlets, and maybe some people can't go for a jog, or even a long walk.
An e-bike allows you to go farther than you might normally. It eliminates these obstacles that people normally encounter with cycling. So a new cyclist, they may be intimidated to ride 10 miles or ride 15 miles, and an e-bike makes that a possibility. And it also allows them to scale how they're riding. So there are different modes. You can ride in the highest assistance level of turbo, and that's a blast, of course, instant smiles mode. But, as you get stronger too, as you develop as a cyclist, you can always scale back the assistance level and increase your fitness if that's a goal that you have.
It's what's great about an e-bike, and Laura was mentioning this, is it really appeals to a broad audience. It's for the person who is, going on a road ride every day for exercise. After a bit of time, you've done that same loop over and over and over again. And having the e-bike allows you, if you go out and put the same amount of effort in, you're just covering more ground. So it allows you to increase your radius a little bit for where you're getting out to on your daily ride. And the other is that for someone who's not as into the sport, or maybe not up to the fitness level they'd like to, that the e-bike just makes it that much more fun and that much more appealing to get out on it. And we've seen it with the statistics over and over, that once somebody buys an e-bike, they just ride more and they ride farther. So in the end, they're getting the workout, but it's just got a little bit more of an allure to it. It sort of pulls you into it a bit more. If you get an e-bike, you're going to find yourself riding a lot more and spending a lot more time outside. It's a great piece of fitness equipment in that sense, because it doesn't sit around. These products get used.
Yeah. So speaking of, Bosch obviously does not produce the bicycle itself. We produce the whole system, right? It's a motor, display, and the battery. How does that all work together in our system?
Really, the complete system all comes from Bosch, and that's the drive unit, which is that motor that sort of fits between the pedals area in the bottom bracket of the bike, and the battery, which either sits on the frame or is integrated into the frame, and then the controllers and displays. There's a lot more to that. There are sensors and all the connections, and more and more like Bluetooth enabled products. And that the end effect, though, is a system that is designed to take the rider's input and deliver power at the right time and in the right levels to give you a really natural riding experience where you just feel a lot stronger. We provide the system. We work with many of the top bicycle brands in the world who then take that, and their expertise is really about the rest of the bike, and then integrate it into that bike design. So Trek or Cannondale, for example, we specialize in the whole electronics of it and supply that as a component supplier to these bicycle brands who create then these really awesome e-bikes.
So I'm visualizing it for those who have not seen an e-bike, right? I know that the motor and really the battery is kind of, like you said, between the pedals and the down tube. So I'm thinking, I have been on an e-bike before. I don't own one yet, but it didn't feel like heavy or, like it was all that different than my typical bike.
It will be a little bit heavier, it is more mass on the bike, but it's positioned in a way that it's centered, it's low on the bike, and it doesn't really interfere with the handling of the bike. And the motor, of course, the assistance is going to sort of take up that extra weight in a way that it won't be obvious or an encumbrance.
What about the battery? What's the range of that? I'm sure there's a lot of factors to that, depending on the type of bike, how you ride, all of that.
It varies based on where you're riding, how you're riding, what modes you're riding in. Somebody who's riding in turbo all the time, because of course, like I said, it's a blast, they may experience, lower range than somebody who's riding in eco all the time and really trying to maximize their range. The size of the battery is also going to be a factor. We do offer different capacity batteries to increase range for those riders who do want to have longer rides. But yeah, it's not unheard of to get 50 to 100 miles if you're riding in a kind of conservative way. And if you're riding in a more aggressive way, more turbo, fast, lots of power, you may not get quite that range, but you still have a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Because it varies so much, we have a great tool on our website called the range calculator that you can basically enter in all these variables. Are you riding on hills? Are you riding on pavement or dirt road? What type of bike do you have? And it'll tell you, pretty accurately what range you can expect from it. But yeah, it can vary between, if you're in turbo climbing up the mountain, you might get 20 miles on a charge. And if you're on eco mode riding on a flat road with a tailwind, you might get 100 miles. But, for most people, most sort of average riding, you're going to get 40 to 50 miles on a charge in an average situation.
That's wonderful. What about you guys personally? What's been like your most epic ride with an e-bike? What's the one that comes to mind when someone asks you about it?
I can think of so many. Like, how many can I tell you, Jessica?
Maybe just
time do we have for?
one or two.
Some of the rides I love doing are with my dad, and actually then I'll put him on an e-bike and we'll go do these rides up in Utah, and and he's smiling from ear to ear, and we're able to ride together on these sort of multi-hour bicycle trips. Those have been pretty epic. We did last year, a group of us, we went and did a ride up in the Lake Tahoe area, where we rode about 70 miles in one day, just in beautiful terrain, just high in the mountains, and just did thousands and thousands of feet of elevation. We mapped our course so that we would stop by places where we could get a new battery and just keep going and going. And I've done awesome rides where I've just loaded up the kids and a picnic on the cargo bike and ridden up to the beach and along the coast. There's so much variety in the kind of rides that you could be doing with the e-bike that it's hard to say what's the most epic. I don't know about you. What do you say, Laura?
Yeah, like you said, just getting out there and being able to explore. You can go out onto trails there's a really epic trail system here in Austin. It's simply called the Greenbelt, probably 50, 60 miles of trail. And every time I'm out there, I get lost. It's like I'm going to have to climb up this hill if I go down the wrong trail, right? But on an e-bike, it's you can be out there all day. And it's amazing. You can get to know the trails better and explore. It's not worrisome if you go down the wrong trail or if you take the wrong turn, because you just have that extra energy to get you through it, and it turns into an adventure.
Oh, I love that. I love the idea of that. I just was picturing myself like on some normal trails that I take, like, oh, I could actually go that way and not be worried about it.
Exactly,
It
exactly.
Awesome.
does. It gives on those trails. It just gives you that little confidence. Like
Yeah.
on a regular bike, maybe you wouldn't go do that little extra hill, wondering what's over that ridge. But on an e-bike, you do. You're like, yeah, let's go check it out.
Yeah.
And so you see a lot of things.
I
Yeah,
love,
and it's a whole new experience. So.
yeah. How is e-bike influencing maybe like that last mile piece?
So these have been some of the cool projects we've been working on the business development side of things. Last year with Beth Bond, who also works at Bosch out in Chicago, we did a great project that she created working with different community organizations to help deliver product to people during the early months of COVID. So delivering, diapers to families, delivering meals from the schools to kids who relied on that but weren't able to go to the schools. And so we had something like, I think, 36 e-bikes running around these underserved communities of Chicago delivering, these essential goods and services to people. That was really an awesome project to be part of. And it's helped us see all these interesting applications for e-bikes. Now we've got several of the major logistics companies are in contact with us and our partners about e-bike fleets for delivery of packages or groceries. If you're in Manhattan and you order a Whole Foods delivery,
Right.
it's going to get delivered by somebody on a Bosch equipped e-bike, and these are exciting projects.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
There is also the aspect of projects like B-Cycle, where fleets are now becoming electrified with Bosch systems, and that is a program in various cities that using an e-bike for those last mile sort of. Maybe for commuters who are taking a train into town, they can hop on a B-Cycle bike and then ride that last mile to work or to the store, and it's more accessible.
The equity side of that, a lot of those bike share programs have, special pricing for people who can't afford that solution otherwise. It gives people access to jobs further out, to healthier food solutions, to education. That's been cool to be a part of. And also what we're seeing is a lot of incentive programs that are in the works right now to make e-bikes more accessible to people in underserved communities. We really see it as a great solution to give people a mobility solution. So you'll see a lot more of that and hear a lot more of that in the coming months and years.
How would you suggest people find an e-bike?
Actually, on our website, bosch-ebike.com, there is a dealer locator feature that allows people to go to the website, check in on their locality, kind of see the nearest shop that is a dealer based on the brands that they carry of Bosch-equipped bikes. So it really makes it easy. Yeah, super simple.
That dealer locator tool is great. You can also see on the Bosch e-bike website which brands are working with the Bosch system. But also, don't be afraid to walk into your dealer and say, I'm looking for a Bosch-equipped e-bike. They'll know what you're talking about. There's a pretty good chance they have them. But yeah, it won't be a Bosch-branded bike. It would be Trek or one of the other 40 brands that are working with us in North America. But with Bosch, we've been doing this for like 12 years now. And we've created a really incredible system with Bosch quality that has all of the rigorous testing and certification that we would do for our automobile components. And we've worked with the best brands out there. So if you're getting a Bosch, you're getting something that's ready to go. And we've had so much experience in the European market, which is quite a bit ahead of the North American market in terms of e-bikes, and also in terms of service. There's like over 4,000 dealers across the U.S. that are certified on the Bosch system that Laura and others in our team have gone out and trained them and taught them how to run regular diagnostics and maintenance support on a Bosch system. So and Bosch is going to be around forever, right? We know that Bosch isn't going anywhere. And so buying an e-bike is a big investment, and who knows which brands are going to be around 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road for now. And Bosch will be for sure. And you're always going to be able to get any technical support you need or spare parts down the road. So a lot of people, they look to that in making their decision. And that helps us a lot. Just that consistency and reliability that we can bring to a market that is otherwise in a pretty new sort of developing state.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Well, I wanted to ask, I always ask everybody who is on the podcast, it can be personal or professional, just the best career advice or personal advice that you've received. First thing that comes to mind.
Oh, wow. For me, a boss once told me, kill him with kindness. And I've spun that to basically mean, for me, approach everything with kindness and with an open heart and with an open mind. And I think that's really served me well. I want to connect with people on a personal level, professionally. I just think it means a lot. It makes life worth living. It makes meaningful experiences happen. That's personally and professionally, I think, has been really important and near and dear to me.
Yeah, I think, if it's a testament to who you are and that you've been doing that, I heard your nickname is Sunshine. So I think that, yeah, you're probably following that advice really well.
Thanks. Yeah,
Definitely.
It's gotta smile, and yeah, I hope to bring that little bit of sunshine to everybody's day. So
that's great. What about you, Steven?
So a book that I've always turned to has been Clayton Christensen's How Will You Measure Your Life? This started out as a lecture at Harvard Business School, and it just really has some great messages in it on just focusing on the things that matter and putting your efforts into things that matter in the long run. And that's, your relationships with people, with friends and family and coworkers. All of that matters more than anything else. And if you can do things that make others' lives easier or improve the world around you, that's what you should be focusing on. And I feel like that's what our team is doing a really good job with right now.
I love that. That's really good. Thank you both for being here. It's been a pleasure.
It's been great talking with you today and sharing the joy of e-bikes.
Go out and try an e-bike. That's the best way to sort of get a sense of what this is, or see if it's something you would like, and then to figure out what kind of e-bike would be right for you. Just stop in at the local dealership and take a test ride. And if you don't come back with a big smile on your face, I'll be surprised.
Check your pulse.
Yeah, right. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Beyond Bosch. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Thanks for listening.